Hi guys, what is going on, and welcome back to another video on Conqueror's Blade, as we are finally, admittedly slightly late, diving into the new tier 5 glaive cavalry. And that is probably the pronunciation we're going to stick with, glaive cavalry, so let's just go with that. Anyway, I'm going to say it, as I always do, it is kind of an interesting unit. It's taken me a little while to really sort of get the hang of them, but as I'm starting to play them more, I am starting to enjoy them more and more. I think if I could add a bit more time, I'm actually about to go away with work for a week, so I'm pretty much out of time to make this video, then I think I could get a bit better and a bit better videos with them. But they are kind of interesting, and let's break down a little bit about veterancy line, some of their abilities, and kind of what their playstyle is like. So they essentially have two abilities. They have a basic rushing blow, which is an ability that I'm just not really using all that much. Kind of use it as a secondary ability just in case the first ability is on cooldown. They basically charge into the enemy formation, they sort of slam around, they do a slashing attack, but it's just not as devastating as Dread Unleashed. So their first ability, Mounting Dread and Dread Unleashed, is a charge up ability. So when you press 1, there's around a sort of 3 to 4 second charge up period, and there's a bar that represents the unit charging up to full power, and then you get sort of another 3 seconds in which you can activate this, and the unit unleashes Dread Unleashed, charges forwards, and then sort of spins around in an arc, kind of similar to how the glaive hero does when they're mounted on a horse, and will spin basically through the enemy formation, doing a fairly large amount of damage. So there's two veterancy line available. Basically the top line applies a sort of a slightly nicer AoE effect and a minimum damage. So we get things like this, which essentially means that Dread Unleashed could hit 6 soldiers at once, which is nice if it charges into a really big cluster. And you also get things like a minimum damage hit. So for example, if you're hitting a really highly armoured unit, maybe say Iron Reapers, then you're basically going to do well there. But for me, the bottom line is all about bumping up that damage even further. Getting that 30% Dread Unleashed damage flat increase, which is really nice to have. There's a lot of extra sort of slashing damage. Plus you get this chance, this quarter chance, a 25% chance to deal double damage as you go through. So basically every 4th model will double hit, essentially. So for me, I've decided to go down the bottom line on this one, but I think both lines are viable. The bottom line to me seems more focused on sort of smaller scale fights. So if you're targeting one unit, then they're really going to do well here. And the top line is probably slightly larger AoE effect. But for me, I found this bottom line to be more viable. Anyway, in terms of doctrines, they're actually classed as a cavalry special, so therefore no cavalry doctrines will be able to be applied to them. So really, I've just had to sort of dig around and see what I can find. You get a basic slashing damage increase doctrine through the seasonal challenges, and there is actually a second doctrine further along, which basically reduces the amount of damage they take as they do their Dread Unleashed ability. But to be honest, I'm not sure the 15% reduction that you're going to be getting from that is really worthwhile, considering that Dread Unleashed is actually quite a short time activation ability. On top of that, gone on with the Siege Fighter just for the base extra damage. A unit damage doctrine, because it not only increases the amount of slashing damage, but does that base increased damage to units. A little bit of slashing damage, and my little epic damage doctrine as well, which is always kind of nice for this sort of thing. So yeah, pretty standard selection of doctrines. You can't really put anything special on them, because they're obviously constrained like this. I have found them to be kind of fairly good hero killers, so maybe something like an assassination doctrine wouldn't be too bad a move either. So yeah, really interesting unit. You do a lot of timing with the charge up, and that's what you kind of got to really get the hang of, but quite a lot of fun and can be quite effective. So let's hop into a few fights with them, see what we can do. So we kick things off on La Grande Glory. And I actually hadn't noticed that my unit had actually been shot a little bit by someone doing some very long distance cannoning. And then to add on to the pressure than that, about to get a few enemies start to pop up at the top of that stairs, which wasn't really ideal and certainly wasn't the place I wanted to be. So I ended up activating the glaive, the building ability, and started to pull the unit through. But actually, you're going to see I take too long. You see, the ability goes off. I didn't activate it quick enough, so I have to reactivate it. I decided I'm just going to get into the fight at the bottom of this bridge. Wait for it. There we go. We activate, and they go absolutely ham. Get a sort of 20-25 kills straight away. Grab as a hero kill, and I then go and get stuck into the shield maidens, and we can push on through. Of course, I wasn't going to let that little hero escape over there, so we chase him down as well and grab our second hero kill with the cavalry. So you can see in kind of those fights where they just sort of spread so crazily that they do quite a lot of burst damage. Almost more burst damage I find than you get with Laos. So yeah, really quite effective. Anyway, I pull down and send the unit back to the further back supply point. Later on though, in the same battle, we're actually back to the final base defense, and I'm thinking, right, there's an opportunity here that I want to push around the back as the enemy push off this staircase. So you can see me kind of looking, seeing, okay, they're not quite off yet. We just want to hang on a little bit, but you can see them starting to push down. I'm starting to think, there's a bit of an opportunity here. Just got to wait and time it optimally. So I bring the unit out from in the courtyard, get them into sort of the position I want them to be, start the build up, hang on for a second just so it has enough time to build up, drag the unit round, push it into the back, and there we go. And they absolutely pick up loads of kills as they go crazy and spammy right into the backs of the unit there. Pick up 30, 40 unit kills really kind of quickly. And actually, if I hadn't have got caught by that maul and was managed to push myself through as a hero, I honestly think we would have been able to get out with quite a lot of the unit still intact. Actually, a lot of the unit did just push straight through the enemy formation. And that's going to be something you're going to be noticing quite a lot with this unit. Because they sort of spin their way through, they often hit, get the damage and end up on the other side of the fight, so they can escape normally quite easily. Next up, we end up on Shield of the Capital. As we watch this Poleaxe pull down, I sort of couldn't refuse that opportunity for a hero kill, just managed to clutch him with the hero horse jump, as we actually get some enemy cav pushing from behind. I got my cavalry on the supply point, so I call them over. I'm activating my mounting dread, charging up. As they come in, they can get going, and they sort of go relatively well against the enemy cavalry. I find so long as you get into a charge before you engage, then actually they're quite an effective unit against enemy cavalry. They seem to do quite well. Clear those guys out fairly convincingly, not too much of a problem. Grab 5-10 hero kills, unit kills even. Nothing particularly special. Then head back to the supply point to heal up. A little bit later on though, we end up losing the A point, but we are still sort of half holding the supply point. But we're also being pushed a little bit from the other end. So we come down here, bringing the unit down, start the charge up as we head into just a couple of little loose Romans we've got down here. Now you can activate the Dread Unleashed before it is fully charged, it's just not as effective. So sometimes if you're in a bit of a clutch situation, you don't manage to activate it in time to get it fully charged before the fight, this is something you can end up doing. Anyway, we come back and the supply point is actually still under our control. But it looks like there's a fair bit of stuff starting to push there, so I'm thinking, maybe a little bit of opportunity here, let's go and give it a go. I mean, that nice clump of shields is just too tempting to refuse. I end up being a little bit slow to activate my ability, so we don't really get our Dread Unleashed to go off properly, but we still manage to grab ourselves a hero kill. And these guys do seem to activate their hero kills fairly efficiently. And there we go, pushing in, and we hunt down, or try to hunt down, little Chain and Scimitar, who's giving us a bit of the runaround, but we do eventually get the unit on him, and between our hero and the unit, manage to get him down. And we can go back now to the supply point, fully recapture it, and start to get ourselves healed up. As we're on the supply point though, we do end up with some more enemy units starting to push through the gateway to try and push the supply. And so again, start to charge up, and this time we managed to unleash the Dread Unleashed much better. We managed to time it a lot better, and you see the unit properly spins its way through and does a lot of damage to that unit. Grabs the hero kill and pushes on through. It's 1 kill, 1 assist, and pretty much the whole unit got wiped. You can see how much damage these guys can do when you manage to get it to burst properly. The hard bit is sometimes just getting the timing right. You want to activate it within enough time so that you can be fully charged by the time you engage, but if you activate it a couple of seconds too early, it will turn off before you can activate it, in the fight. And that's kind of not a lot of good. Anyway, continue to get the unit healed up as we then push back out and start to head over to the other side where the enemy is starting to make a little bit of a push out of the side wall. Come around, we've got some friendly cataphracts here, got some crescent monks, and looks like there is some pike units in the fight as well. But we've also got some allied units in there, so I toggle on my mounting dread, get into the fight just as it engages, and they go nicely to hand, picking up quite a lot of kills as they go through. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the chevaliers do quite a lot of damage to me. They're such a heavy cavalry, and we only managed to pull a few of the units actually back out of the fight. But still, we were able to get quite a lot of damage. And I'm still thinking about trying to have a little bit of a go at those outriders at the back. So we reactivate the ability, pull around, initially just going in as the hero, because these guys have one unit that we really want to get down, and even with just a few units, when we unleash our dread, it does cut down that tier 3 enemy cav fairly effectively. And we can then sort of move around a little bit, manage to grab them all, but we end up walking into a nice little unit of Fortebraccios, and I'll get locked down by Chain Darter Scimitar, and that certainly spells the end of my life. So I've had about sort of 20 battles with these guys so far today, and this is really the only day I've had to play them. So I think you've got to take my review on them with a little bit of salt. I'd normally like to play a little bit more. But is the unit worth unlocking? Is it worth getting? I certainly think, yeah, potentially. They are not a game-changing unit. They play quite a lot like Lao Rangers in many ways. They're a burst damage unit, charge in, get your damage, just like that example there. The one thing I like about them is that because they carry so much momentum into the fight, they often get in, burst damage and find themselves ending up on the other side. So you do often stand a decent chance of getting them out again. Are they going to be the most meta unit of the game at the moment? Compared to Crescent Monks? No, not even slightly. Crescent Monks are far better than these guys, tier for tier. So yes, they are worth unlocking. I don't think they're worth paying for. I certainly just work your way through them, as and when. You don't need to go massively out of your way to go and unlock these guys. Anyway, I'll certainly probably have another video on these guys once I get back from work and have a little bit more time to play with them, so keep an eye out for that. Anyway, thank you for watching guys, and I'll see you all on the next one.